Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Hey there, Delilah. What's it like eating boneless wings? 'Cause only females eat that shit and call them chicken nuggets. Yes, they do. Chicken nuggets aren't boneless wings. They're abomination. Oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, not a chicken wing. Ladies and gentlemen, bars. Round one, fight. Welcome back to another Monday. Monday.
Coming at you hot.
Listen, we're getting way too fucking radio DJ with this shit, okay? Way too much. But it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm going to make every episode on a Monday be so interchangeable. We're going to start all this shit, and you're going to see where this is going. One day, 10 years from now, you're going to understand why it all happened like this. And that's just something very vague that I'm saying that doesn't make sense. And I hope one day when I'm gone, they go back and they look at my vague shit, and they're like, wow, he really was Nostradamus. You know, he really predicted what would happen. You know, that's why you can't get too detailed with your predictions about life or something. You ever want to seem like a genius on a fight pick? Just say very bland, broad things. Just be like, listen, I think he's going to take it to him. I think he's going to really work in the pocket, but he's going to step out of the pocket and he's going to work out range, and he's going to impose his will. Say very vague things and you can't be wrong. That's with anything. I remember the Nostradamus books. Like, he predicted so much shit. People were always like, he predicted 9/11 and all this stuff. And like, you go back and read what he actually said, and it was just like billowing smoke stood from 2 towers and like all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, you're kind of reaching. You know, it's like throwing darts. You know, I could literally be like, a sickness overwhelmed the masses. Oh my God, Evan Lopez predicted coronavirus. I mean, I kind of did. I'll be honest with you guys. I was doing a bit before the pandemic, and I said, people are getting way too soft. I was talking about how dating has gotten way too complicated, where people have gotten way too detailed with what they want in a significant other. Back in the day, it used to be like, are you strong enough to work the farm with me? You would have kids. Now there's like all this CRISPR genetic shit. Back in the day, it was just like, we need to have sex to produce children so we can survive. That used to be all it was. Isn't that crazy? Now we're getting all kinky with it and shit because we're bored. Oversaturation of luxury in life, you know? So we just get real weird with it, you know? Dude, I even saw this. This is wild. Do I want to lose that topic I was talking about yet? We lost it, ladies and gentlemen. It's gone. Moving on. I saw this last night that a sex ed teacher, I have the article, a sex ed teacher at a $55,000 per year NYC private school resigns. Okay, listen, when they're saying resigns here, now they've updated this article because it was saying fired. After angering parents by teaching first graders about masturbation and telling kids they can't be hugged without consent. Listen, this is one of those things where it did say fired, and maybe she like stepped down, you know, and it becomes so weird with the media, how they like anything that hurts the narrative, they won't say it. I think the fact that, you know, I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. She will not return to school next year, according to email. The controversial class sparked fury from parents when they were reported. The animations showed cartoon boys and girls talking about masturbation. I thought at first that it was a video of little kids masturbating. That would have been weird because I thought it was like sex ed, like showing the body. That would have been very awkward. Not okay. A teacher who showed first graders cartoons about masturbation during sex ed class at a $55,000 per year New York City private school. Listen, who the fuck is paying $55,000 for first grade? $55,000. Listen. What are we doing here? What are you learning at a $55,000 a year school for first grade? Do you realize $55,000 is more than what I paid for my entire college education? And I'm not flexing, but I didn't have anybody paying it for me. Okay, I still got them student loans on deck. All right, $55,000 a year to have them fucking draw and apparently watch masturbation videos, to count fucking butterflies and shit. You better be bringing some fury if you want me to pay $55,000 for my kids' education. They better come out of that shit knowing how to code. I don't know. I don't know what you could possibly teach a kid for $55,000 a year that isn't just ridiculous. You know what those kids in first grade are going to be doing at a $55,000 a year school? Fucking cocaine, okay? Because you get that many wealthy kids around each other, and they're fucking bored with the regular shit, collecting Pokemon. Nah, they're collecting cocaine, okay? And they're all doing it in the bathroom and getting off to these cartoon masturbation videos. How ridiculous. And I don't even know what the right way to teach a kid about masturbation. No one ever fucking taught me, okay? I was like fucking, let's see, I don't even know what age I was. But I was like MacGyver. You just got to figure it out. You just got to get in there. You just got to get your hands dirty, all right? You just got to get hands-on, literally, and you just figure it out. We're animals, all right? You ever thrown a cat off the balcony? Listen, I was a mean little kid sometimes, all right? Didn't like the cat. You throw it off a balcony, that cat knows how to land on its four legs, all right? Now, this isn't an animal abuse video. This is a child masturbation education cartoon. I know this podcast is going to get flagged simply for the words that I'm using in these sentences, okay? And listen, I'm just commentating on this. I don't know if this is the right way to do this because I'm looking at this cartoon. It's called A Maze. And obviously, there should be some health and wellness shown to these kids and teaching them about their body as, you know, they're going through changes. Does it need to happen in first grade? I don't know. I guess for $55,000 a year, you're like, we got to show them some shit they're not seeing at their regular school. You know, we got to stay a step ahead of these people. All right. Well, kids are getting younger and younger on TikTok. What do we got to teach them? Well, yo, listen, the school that's $50,000 down the road, they just got a soccer program. Oh shit. Well, what are we going to do? We need a jack off program. Okay. And a DJ Skittles. Bring it in. What? Wait, I don't care how much it costs. Bring in the goddamn jack off program for these kids. We need to educate them. We got to take this shit to the next level. Okay? This is one of those things, if you build it, they will come. No pun intended. But we're going to have babies jacking off at the womb, in the womb if we keep going down this road. Where does it stop? I don't even think my great-grandfather jacked off, you know? They're busy. They're on the farm. Call back. In the video, a cartoon little boy asks,
how come my penis gets big sometimes and buoys up in the air?
Okay, listen. I'll be honest with you guys. Buoys up in the air? Buoys up in the air. I'm going to give this writer kudos for the graphic description of this. It's such an artistic view of an erection. Buoys up in the air. That's my new phrase for it. Damn, girl, making this buoy right now. Hey, are you the ocean? Because I got a buoy. Anyway, that's about as far as we're going to go with this. This is a dicey topic we're here, talking about. In the video, a cartoon little boy asks, oh, this is Oh, and then it switches it to points in the air. Okay, now this page isn't responding. This is great. I love it. We're getting canceled by this page. Hey, and why? Listen, okay, so we got a cartoon. We have a little boy with blue hair. And we have a young girl on the other side, and we have a teacher in the middle. And then we have a lizard on one side, and then we have a baby chicken on the other side. Listen, if you don't think whoever did this cartoon is putting some weird shit in this, I don't know. And then they actually have a video or a picture of a penis and clitoris for the kids. And for some reason, they made it all weird, like for kids. And they're showing a little boy and a little girl, like cartoon, but their toes are touching. And not only that, there's weird, they put little like lightning and stars, like made it all kiddo. It's just weird. The adult woman adds, have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public? This teacher obviously hasn't been on a bus or a public transportation, or even in a sauna at the 24-hour fitness in downtown LA, because I have. And guess what? I've seen it. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private. Okay. Following an outcry, Fonte told parents that it did not use the word masturbation in class. Those who complained to the school administrators, they were told they had misinterpreted the lesson. Hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman's Pershing Square Foundation provided the school, where his ex-wife Karen, of course, is on the board of trustees with a $450,000 grant, which reportedly funded Fonte's work. Okay, listen. listen, ladies and gentlemen. If I was
a conspiracy theorist, a hedge fund billionaire.
That wasn't the right voice for that. Spooky. A hedge fund billionaire funding a program that teaches little kids about sexuality. Sometimes this shit just writes itself. And it's not okay. But to be honest, that is very weird, right? Like if I was a conspiracy theorist and I was like, what are all these the things tied to like these old billionaires? Weird sex trafficking, kid trafficking. And then now we have one funding, apparently a $450,000 grant funding the masturbation session. Education. It's just a weird world, right? That's just a weird flex. I don't know what else there is to talk about this topic. But that's odd, right? I don't know. Listen, I'm not a parent. I understand that there's a time and a place for that. Obviously, you should educate your kids on everything. I agree with the hug thing. Listen, I had a teacher in 4th grade, and part of her thing is that you had to hug her before you left the class. And I didn't like that as in 4th grade, being forced to hug this older Christian lady. Yeah, I went to a Christian school, 4th grade. My skin would burn every time I walked in there. Tss, I'm melting. I don't even need the goddamn soundboard. I just do these vocal effects myself, baby, all day. But I didn't like that I had to hug her. And I didn't like that the school administration didn't think it was weird. And I remember I would hide from her because she would you would have to go give her a hug before you left class. I would sneak out. I'd be like, nah, bitch, you can't just have this. You know, I knew what my worth was, and I would sneak out before I had to hug her. And sometimes she would get mad. Where's my hug, Evan? Fucking go to hell, bitch. You know, that's how I lived my life back then. And my parents were cool with it. They were like, you don't have to hug her if you don't want to. So I'm good with that, teaching kids that you don't have to hug strangers, you don't have to hug people without consent. Uh, there is a weird thing in that where, but I also think that should be educated at home. Like that's the thing is like, we shouldn't be relying on teachers and everything to just educate our kids. Listen, if you're a hedge fund billionaire or millionaire, let's say you're very wealthy enough to afford a $55,000 education for your kid, if you're just sending your kid off, because if you have that much money, you obviously have enough money to spend time with those kids. Like that's what is annoying about stuff like this when things happen and it's like, oh, I sent my kid off to this $55,000 school and blah, 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 all this education. But it's like, are you teaching them at home? Like I would much rather take that $55,000 and put them in, a program, but then have that $55,000 as basically a salary to myself of being able to spend time with my kid, be able to take them on trips, being able to educate them, 55,000, that ain't nothing to sneeze at for a goddamn first grade education. And I'm all for good education. I understand that, there's public school problems and all this stuff. Oh, but I don't know, 55,000 for my kid just to watch a video teaching him that they're going to make him the weird kid because he's going to be like, hey, I got a buoy in my pants. And kids are going to make fun of him. They're going to call him old buoy dick. I can't have my kid running around being called buoy dick. All right. It just is what it is. Okay. Moving on. Had a good weekend. Listen, a lot of interesting things went down over the weekend. We had I believe we talked about it the week before. We talked about the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather boxing match. With a week passing now, and I get it, there's a narrative to keep it pushing forward that he survived Floyd Mayweather and all this stuff. It's very interesting. I don't think Floyd Mayweather was trying to knock him out. Floyd Mayweather is an older man. It's just weird. This is why weight classes matter. This is why, having a rule set and everything like that, it matters. I think they should have had judging. That would have been great. They should have had judging, even though it was an exhibition and given points and everything. But something else happened this past weekend. And some people thought I was being serious, which is just hilarious. Listen, if I post a dry humor joke about an Aaron Carter, Lamar Odom fight, if you don't realize that I'm joking, you need to go take your face off, put it in the mirror, and fuck yourself. Okay? You fucking buoy head. That's what you are. This is the weirdest shit ever. And listen, this fight was a complete letdown. I love watching fights. I love watching spectacles, any kind of competition with dire consequences. Dire consequences. It's all real. That's why I enjoy fighting the most. Watching fighting is because it's the most primal form of competition, and it knocks down all the barriers of what is sports. And that's why MMA is such a great environment for that, because the rule sets allow to really find out who is the best at this and that. But this Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter fight was so silly. It was so silly. The weight difference and just the athleticism and just the weirdness of the event. Listen, both guys, former crack problems. Aaron Carter has his own set of demons. I know Lamar Odom has his own set of demons. And I feel for you guys. I really do. I wish you guys nothing but the best. I feel like these outlets, when you look at Aaron Carter, whether it's, you don't know if he needs money, you don't know what it is, but you see such an unstable person when I look at Aaron Carter. And it's very weird that we put these people on a platform in front of people to make a spectacle out of them. And I don't know, man. I think just because you can generate money off of it, I don't know if you should. You know, I don't know if it's the right thing. Maybe instead of doing this fight and getting in the spotlight this way, maybe Aaron Carter should go get a journal and write on the beach or something like that. Maybe drink a green juice, you know? But it was a terrible event. Terrible. It looked terrible. The fight was anticlimactic, and which it was going to be no matter what. That's the thing, is people were like saying Lamar Odom was, you know, a drug addict and all this stuff. That man has an NBA championship ring, multiple ones, I believe. Do I know much about basketball? No, I don't really watch football. All right, listen, bars, keep up. But he was a former professional athlete at the highest level. Of course, he's going to fuck up a dude who weighs 170 pounds, who has never even competed in a tetherball match. Okay, that's what I get from Aaron Carter. The dude looks like he hasn't seen the sun since 2004. Okay? He looks like he has been prepping for a role of the live action Smeagol since 2002. Okay? Listen, I don't mean to go on Aaron Carter. I love that music video when I was a kid. The Aaron Carter's House or whatever. And even when the time he beat Shaq, that was a jam. But listen, this all goes back to like, what is there any child star that's turned out okay? Is there one? I don't know of many. They all, like, they have to go through some pretty big changes to be able to become a normal human in society. It's true. That's why I don't get. I saw this. There was this stays kind of in the same vein. Round 3, fight. There was TikTok versus YouTube boxing this weekend. And listen, I owe an apology to YouTube versus TikTok. I do. Because I posted another picture saying that we had to prepare for the real martial arts this weekend. And I put the screenshot of the poster for YouTube versus TikTok. It turned out to be a legit fight. All the fights that I watched, these young men were getting after it, okay, for their skill set. Could they compete against competitive amateur boxers? A couple of them might have been able to, okay, because that's what a few of them look like. I said, oh, they look like actual amateur boxers. They look like they've been training, some of them for a couple of years at least. Had a couple knockouts. I loved it. It was impressive. And I love seeing stuff like that. They didn't have headgear. They were actually fighting. It was a real event. And I love seeing people get out of their comfort zone and get into, you know, something that scares them. And you can see it, man. There is nothing like having to fight someone, and the month leading up, the weeks leading up, the night before, when you're actually in the fight, you don't feel you're fine. In my experience, you're fine. You know, the fear goes away. It's all that lead up and anticipation and walking out and waiting to start. That's where like the nerves are, is when you're like, did I prepare? Did I do this? And blah, blah, blah. It's leading up to it that's hard. And I love seeing anybody who's able to get out of that comfort zone and do something new. Listen, I post videos on YouTube. There's a big disconnect between doing something like the podcast, doing YouTube videos, you know, TikTok, whatever it is. There's a big disconnect of the public embarrassment than there is from actually being in a physical place. Same thing with stand-up. There's a huge difference between, you know, whether you're streaming, whether you're doing YouTube, whether it's TikTok, a podcast, a huge disconnect of embarrassment and the stakes of when you're actually having to do public speaking. And that's why I love it, because it forces you to get out of your comfort zone and to be able to handle those nerves and prepare. So I think things like this are great, are rites of passage. If all these young men that are coming up, I think that, and women too, should have to go through some sort of rite of passage. It's been in every single civilization, well, a lot of them, the successful ones, of having to overcome some kind of fear, overcome some kind of challenge and struggle. I think it's great. I'm all for this YouTube versus TikTok, because I think it makes you a better person when you get humbled and when you get your ego checked and you at least acknowledge the hard work that goes into something like fighting or, you know, whatever it is. I think, I don't know, I think you get into a weird world when everything is digital and everything's through a screen. It makes you numb to like real life and what are real consequences. And that's why I think, man, it could tie all back into the weirdness of cancel culture. I swear. I never want to mention cancel culture on this podcast again. I just can't help myself. All right? It just makes my willy tingle. Because I love just talking about what causes it, where did it start, how do we overcome it, and where does it go from here? I think cancel culture in general starts from a place of a safe space, a bubble, something outside of reality that is trying to grow the bubble bigger than the constraints of that safe space. Bigger, it's trying to expand and absorb reality in the real world and get more stuff into the safe space and to create this bubble where there are no consequences, there are no fears, there are no, you know, everything's vanilla and there's no sharp edges anywhere in the world. And in return, all of that shit makes you more anxiety ridden, makes you more depressed, makes you more scared, makes you less alive. Because I'll tell you this much, there's, you know, going from the pandemic of not doing stand-up for a while, there was a fear in me of even if I knew how to do stand-up anymore, dealing with that public speaking, like the fear of just like, fuck, what if I bomb? What if I do this? What if my voice trembles? What if I shake? What if all these things, like these fears and these doubts? And it would force me to prepare more, where I was just like, no, you have to prepare. You have to have this tight and blah, blah, blah. And just get everything in your, you know, on your side, control the controllables that you can. And then there's nothing like the relief after of realizing that even if you do bomb, because I've bombed plenty of times. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen, we just somehow stopped the recording. I pressed my goddamn thumb and that pause button just buoyed up. You know what I'm saying? But I bomb still, a lot, you know, because you're trying new things, new jokes, whatever. And what doesn't make it better is not bombing anymore. It's just the reality of realizing that a bomb can't destroy you. I mean, a real bomb could. Hey, how you guys doing? But like that fear is an overreaction. Like, oh, what's the worst that's going to happen is this. And it's like, that's a big thing that, you know, a lot of people think that I, by nature, am like a cold person sometimes. I'm actually a very emotional person, but like a cold person where I can be very objective and I can be very dry and very, what's the word? But calculated and everything like that. When I was younger, I would have the problems where things would affect me. If someone said something, it would bug me. I would avoid people if I didn't want to deal with the confrontation of it or anything like that. And I kind of went that route when I was young. And, you know, I'm sure that's a normal route that people take when they're younger. But then you realize you can't become vulnerable to everything. Rather than just always trying to avoid certain struggles, you have to just be able to handle those struggles. And not only that, make it so they can't affect you. Like, you know, dealing with comments and everything, that would be something early on that like it would bug me if someone wrote something and everything. And then now I could give two shits. I get DMs, it literally goes right through me where I'm just like, man, I don't know. You know, hey, that's fine. You can feel however you want to feel. And I don't try to control anything. I think that's the biggest thing is when people get a weird look on life and they try to control things that they shouldn't even be worried about. Whether it's like dealing with family members, whether it's dealing with coworkers or people who you think are gatekeeping your career or anything like that, no matter what it is, some idiot in traffic. I don't give two shits if someone flips me off and blah, 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 all this issue. I'm like, hey, that's something going on with you. That has nothing to do with me. It's not my problem. It's nothing I can control how people react to things. And I think that's where, cancel culture takes a weird turn. I'm all for canceling people who deserve it. If people are a piece of shits and, use their power for bad and, they use people, abuse people, whatever it is, you canceled. But when we start getting weird, the weird one is canceling people in the past. Hey, the shit you did fucking 15 years ago, you canceled. It doesn't work like that. People grow and adapt. And I feel like most of the people who are trying to cancel people, let's look at your past. I feel like that if you want to declare a cancellation, you got to submit 15 years of paperwork. All right. We got to be able to dig up the past on you. Just a thought. I think that would really stop people from canceling. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Listen, I know we got into cancel culture. I apologize. I know. I always tell myself we're not going to do it, but here we are again. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I hope you found something either funny or educational on this episode. Okay. From now on, fellas, when you get a woody, it's no longer a woody. It's no longer an erection. It's a buoy, boy. All right? That's just a buoy. It's a hot buoy summer. All right? That's just the sound my buoy makes. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for being a fan of the podcast. Hell, I don't even know. Maybe this just somehow jumped on your iPod. Who still has a fucking iPod? Anybody has an iPod right now? You're not my friend. Can't be. Unless you're subscribed to the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you Wednesday. Remember, no matter what, I still love you.